Hey guys, today is the 5th episode and the 5th completely different subject. Today I'd like to talk about joyful nihilism, and it's something that means a lot to me and helps me maintain my happiness in my everyday life. I'd like to put out a little disclaimer that I am by no means a scientician or astrophysicist or have any kind of degree in this sort of thing. So this is really just a philosophical conversation. I've read a lot of books, on the origins of the universe and, cosmic stuff like that and all that kind of cool stuff. I really enjoy it, but, I'm not an expert. I can't cite you any papers or anything like that. This is purely philosophical conversation. And, it's something that kind of upsets some people. You hear it a lot. Lots of people are like, oh, everything happens for a reason, or, you'll get through this and, it matters and you matter and all that shit. But, I'd say that nothing happens for a reason, or even more importantly, everything happens for no reason. Shit just happens, it's... And again, this is just 100% my point of view. I realize that it's super important for people to attach meaning to things, and and that's okay. If that helps you live a better life, be a better person, that's your way of doing it, and that's what works for you. For me, unfortunately, I find that really depressing, and I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. So the way I look at it, and you can read a lot of nihilist authors, Nietzsche and stuff like that, and end up with a bleak outlook. If you don't look at it the right way. I think when I've read a lot of those guys and a lot of descriptions of those guys, there is almost an underlying joyfulness to it. People immediately think, oh, nothing matters, everything's meaningless, and that's like a depressing to them, but not to me. I think it, like, when I came to that conclusion that everything just happens and we're all going to die and the universe isn't even going to know we were here, when I started to embrace that philosophy, it really kind of made me a lot happier. The idea that everything you do has consequences, and that's true. Everything you do does have consequences, but in the long term, in the history of the universe, like, it really doesn't matter what happens on Earth, what happens to you, what happens to me. And that's not to say that your actions don't matter. In fact, I think it almost makes them matter more in a way. Cosmically, they're completely irrelevant. We're here for a blink of a fraction of a nanosecond in, the timeline of the universe. And it's a really short time. And so the one thing that really does matter, to me anyways, is, how you treat other people. Because, you're here for such a brief time. Why would you want to make someone else's really brief time miserable? If there's no afterlife, if there's no, nothing else to experience beyond this, like, why would you want to fuck that up for somebody? I think, and I'm not perfect, nobody is, and everything that we do as Americans and as consumers affects other people globally in a, negative way, and that's awful, and it's something that I try to work on and try to make myself better at, and I feel like a lot of people do, but we still fuck up. Like, I still do things that are harmful to other people, even without knowing it. Like, shit, I bought my t-shirt and it's made in Bangladesh in a sweatshop. Like, that's fucking awful. I'm supporting that. We try to make the next good decision, I guess. But, in the end, ultimately, it just doesn't matter that much, like anything. it matters to me that I'm hurting someone else with my actions, and hopefully it matters to other people that their actions might hurt other people, even if they can't see it directly. And the one main reason for that is because we're here for such a short time, and there is nothing else. And I don't know, it's a weird one. And I'm by no means the first person to come up with this. Like, I think Gen Z and Gen Y or Gen Alpha, which is the new one, they're probably a little too young for this. I feel like they have an even better perspective on it, and you can really see it when you look at like memes and silly shit like that, where there's this kind of like hopelessness and like this idea that everything is just a hot shit mess, but like there's kind of a little underlying joyfulness, a smile on it, where like, you know what, it just doesn't matter all that much. Like, we're gonna be gone, each of us in the next 40, 50, 70 years, depending on how old you are. And then humanity, God, hopefully we'll hang on for a while, but it feels like the next 100 years, maybe, we're gonna be in rough shape for sure, unless a lot of shit changes. And I feel it's important to, do what you can to kind of hopefully make the people who are alive lives a little bit better, or at least not make them worse. Cosmically, sure, that maybe doesn't matter, but it matters to me on a personal level, and hopefully it matters to other people on a personal level, where you just really don't want to destroy someone's half nanosecond of time they have in this incredibly amazing universe, that's beautiful and, endless, and and we're just this tiny little speck. And like, I mean, that's part of why I like traveling so much. I feel like I can really appreciate the beauty of it, knowing that it's really temporary, and that I'm really temporary, and that, everything's going to be gone at some point, and it'll be the briefest speck of time. But there's a great line in, and I love this movie, even though I'm sure people make fun of me for it, but in Troy, Brad Pitt is Achilles, and he's like, the gods envy us. They envy us because we're doomed. Like, everything's more beautiful because we're doomed. Like that, I love that. I love the idea that, like, just appreciate it for now. Like, live in the moment. Try not to fuck anyone else's moment up, but like live in the moment and enjoy it, and truly appreciate how beautiful and amazing things around you are, because they're all going to be gone. And 100 million years from now, no one else is going to get to see it, and you got to see it, and that's pretty cool. So I don't know. It's an uplifting thing for me, the joyful nihilism. It also helps. It helps me when shit goes fucking terribly wrong too. Like when, if I break my leg or get really sick, or someone I care about overdoses or kills himself. Like, yeah, it affects me, and that hurts. But ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. You got to move on. You got to try to keep enjoying what you've got, and striving for other things that you want without fucking it up for someone else. And like I said, I realize as a consumer in a capitalist country, like, a lot of what I do does hurt other people. And I just try to make better choices every day. And, if that's meaning, then fine. Then that's the meaning for me, is like trying to make my choices positive ones, and not fuck with other people. But like, even that, in my mind, even that ultimately just, it doesn't matter. So I realize this is probably a privileged perspective, being a middle-class white dude in America. Like, if I was experiencing more regular awful shit, it would probably be impossible to look at the world this way. Maybe not, though, because it's kind of a, think it originated as a sort of Hindu and or Buddhist philosophy, which I'm definitely not. Fuck religion. But, you know, I think that's where it originated, that idea of nothingness, and that nothing matters, and maybe that nothing is even real, you know. But I don't know, that it puts a smile on my face when I think deeply about it. And, you know, if you've been struggling with the, like, live, laugh, love, and, like, everything happens for a reason, like, maybe this is a perspective you can look at. Maybe this idea that you know, ultimately it's all nothing. It means nothing, and all the shit that happens, all the good stuff that happens, like, ultimately it's just really meaningless. And then, you know, it's very important to keep in mind that I'm probably completely full of shit, definitely completely full of shit, and, you know, probably more so than most people. You know, everyone's full of shit, but maybe I'm more full of shit than most people. But it doesn't matter, and I don't care that much. It's what works for me.